the embassy. Now, before going in, he'd said, if I'm not out within a quarter of an hour, you must get hold of somebody and make a fuss. Anyway, he did emerge, and he said that when he was in the embassy, they'd shouted at him, waved the little red book at him, but eventually At persuaded him that it was an act of goodwill on the part of Corgi to bring the Little Red Book to the general public so they're aware of the sayings of Chairman Mao.
Do you think this was one of those books people bought simply to have on the shelf rather than because you actually planned to read it?
Actually certain that something like 80% of the books that have been bought were not read.
In the West, perhaps the Little Red Book was a little red book. Yet Alex Cook says in the USA, for a decade, from the mid-1960s, to own it was, for some, a proud mark of dissent.
A lot of that coalesced around protests against the Vietnam War and the feeling there was a new form of imperialism in the world. But there's also another side to the sort of anti-imperialism angle in the United States, and that was minority groups, hyphenated Americans, African Americans, Asian Americans, Latino Americans. They felt like their lives had not really been bettered, and so the Little Red Book also became a text and a badge for the Black Panthers, for example, and other marginalized groups in America.
And I'm still not sure whether I think it was a countercultural Bible or a countercultural bauble.
I think in China itself it was a bit of a Bible. It was a popularization of the sort of quasi-religious thought of Marxism-Leninism. But I think outside of China, you're right that it's more of a bauble. The text and the ideas that it represented, I think, were important in world historical terms, but it wasn't like people were reading the thing.
Mao Zedong died in 1976. In China, for some years, the book's distinctive red vinyl cover, once ubiquitous, more or less disappeared. It's now available mainly in markets in tourist areas, but the majority are fakes. That's all for this edition of Witness with me, Vincent Dowd. If you'd like to listen to more of our history programmes, just search for BBC Witness.